Hello, good evening. I'm Ryan Lester, and this is episode 23 of the Wolves Report, where tonight we'll be talking about West Ham, squad quality, depth, players in the red zone, latest club accounts, Semedo's absence, taking as many of your questions as we can, and also looking ahead to Palace. And tonight, I'm absolutely delighted. We have reunited the dynamic duo in the forms of Yap Stam and David Hopkin, Knockout and Tyler. Gentlemen, good evening. So let's get straight into it. Last Thursday, I was back with Tyler. It wasn't a pretty night. Sunday, I was with Knocker at West Ham. It's an impressive stadium that wasn't very loud. Knocker, just kick me off your initial thoughts of the West Ham game.
I thought the stadium was horrendous. I don't think it was impressive at all. I thought it was terrible. It was like being in a sports arena with dodgy seats. It was horrible.
It was more the noise. The lack of noise was disappointing. But anyway, tell me about the football.
Yeah, really disappointed. I think we didn't set up to do anything in the game, which I really couldn't understand. I felt when we broke the 40-point barrier now, so we're in no danger. For me, I wanted us to have a right good go with it and try and win the game, but I felt we were playing with the handbrake on. I don't think we wanted to commit. I thought it was quite negative how we set up. I was really surprised. I was really disappointed because I felt that there was a result there for us, because I didn't think West Ham were particularly good. I don't think they were any better than us. And I think if we'd have really gone for it, I feel we could have won the game, because they didn't impress me one bit.
I mean, Tyler, you pretty much said the same. We were saying off air before that. We said it in the week really that we should have gone for it and we didn't. So, what was your take on the West Ham game? And bearing in mind, it is a family show.
Yeah, it was just flat, wasn't it? It was flat as a pancake. And Knocker's right. We've got nothing to lose, and obviously we were just having a quick chat before we started about having a go for things, and we're not in a luxurious position with the squad we've got that we can make 5 changes and go to places like that and win games. We were rusty, weren't we? We were slow, we were sloppy, we were second to balls. You can't bring in the likes of Hoover, Marcel, and have the same impact. You just can't do it. Obviously Nelson's a huge miss, but to then not have 8 nor the other side was basically no attacking intent from your fullback positions. Yeah. Neves was off the pace. It was just. I'd describe it as flat, just a flat performance. I think we could still be playing now when we won the squad, I don't think. And like I said, it just comes back to me. We can't make 5 changes and still be the same team. We're not good enough to do that, in my opinion, especially teams like West Ham. And Knocker's right, that's the most frustrating thing. We still probably could have nicked a draw or got a result from it. And I think that's what's frustrating. It's a bit like, reminds me a bit of the Arsenal home game where it could have gone either way, but we didn't do enough really to get anything from the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The most frustrating thing for me was, for one, I think I know people have really debated in terms of the squad depth. We have got depth, but we don't have quality in depth. And that was evident of making that many changes. So secondly, when you're playing wing backs, you need your wing backs to get high up. Obviously, Nelson wasn't available. If he's not there, he can't get high up. Ain't Nori going forward is a massive part of this Wolves setup. So if you're bringing in 2 players who are more fullbacks than our wing backs, you're almost a flat back 5. And then on top of that, if you're 2 narrow wide forwards in the form of Hwang and Trincao won't take anybody on or won't take the ball to them, you're pretty much then, and people were slagging off Fabio, he's pretty much by himself. He's got no service. There's no 1-2s or balling. He improved as the team went on. But for me, and now I'm going to merge into a bit what we said as well in terms of the red zone, because I had some reliable information that was given to me in terms of there was multiple players in the red zone. And for anyone that doesn't know what it is, the basics is it's if you play the next game or carry on playing, the risk of injury is much greater. So, and I think there might have been an issue with Nelson, but we were with the Arsenal with that game. So we had to make the changes in some areas, which was frustrating. But as a result of that, I think it's not cost Wolves a point. I think it's cost Wolves 3 points. As you both said, West Ham won the game. And if we're saying, no, they didn't play, West Ham weren't all that, which I don't think, well, we sound bitter, but West Ham weren't all that. They just about beat a Wolves side that were probably on a 3 out of 10 performance, probably until the last 10 minutes when Neto, Podence and Raul and Fabio were all on and they looked like something. Up until that point, really, were West Ham, at all, did West Ham really look like significantly better than us that they should be chasing for European place, Knocker?
Nah, they were bang average. I thought they were bang average. There was a good chance for Declan Rice when he hit the post. Other than that, I don't. I thought they were all huff and puff. Really, they got into some good areas, but they never really threatened us. And there was a result there for us. And what I really don't understand is if this red zone that everyone keeps talking about can't have been a surprise. So out of the two matches, if you're picking Arsenal and West Ham, surely you go for the West Ham game and rest players against Arsenal because there's more chance of us winning that game. So I don't know. It was just really strange. I mean, if you lose Semedo, you can't lose Aït-Nouri as well because, like you say, it was a flat back five. There was nothing coming through midfield. I actually thought Silva did okay. I know he's got a bit of stick on social media, but I thought he played pretty well considering he had absolutely no service. But
I think he did okay.
I thought he did okay, but I thought Trincao was awful. I thought he was terrible. He offered absolutely nothing. I thought defensively we were okay, but we didn't look our usual selves, and the goal was hideous that we conceded. So
Yeah,
it just didn't work all over the pitch. It just didn't work. We were never going to score. We never threatened really. We looked better in those last 10 minutes, but even with that slight improvement, you never really thought we were going to get in. You never thought we were going to break the lines. If it was going to come, it was going to be a set piece, or it was going to be a mistake from West Ham. And it's just really, really frustrating because last week was massive for us. Now, if we'd have picked up 2 points, we'd still be in the mix. But we just seem to fold on both performances. And
yeah, I just want to jump in with a comment. Jump in with a comment with Josh. I'm looking away at the other screen I've got. I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments and getting them involved because some of them I'll bring them up too late in. But Josh Burden said, would it have been better to target the West Ham game over Arsenal? And just that's backing up your point of what you'd said there, Knocker. Surely we knew this wasn't a surprise. And I know there was a lot of players that left a lot out there, and to lose in injury time like we did as we were at Arsenal last Thursday, Tyler, with your dad and your lad, it was a tough one to swallow. But as we were saying, it shouldn't have been a surprise that so many players were potentially in the red zone. So did we choose the wrong game, guys? Or can we look that far ahead? Can we only take one game at a time?
We're going to be in a similar boat this week, aren't we? With games Saturday, Thursday, Sunday. It's just the way it is at the moment, and you can't have a small, compact squad and then moan about players being in the red zone or picking up injuries. The Semedo injury could have happened to probably any of them, couldn't it? It's a muscle injury that's probably come from too many games, too much exertion. So I don't know. It's one of them. Is that if you choose to have a small, like Leeds are going through the same, aren't they? They choose to have a small squad. They get injuries. They're struggling. I think we've been quite fortunate to a point with the injuries to our better players. But if you start to get injuries to your Semedos, to your Raul, your Neves, your Kilmans, that's when you're struggling. When it's to your best players. I think we said the other week. We've got 3 or 4 real top players, but the rest are probably much of a muchness, aren't they? If Wang's injured, not a huge deal, but we noticed Nelson not being fit, didn't we? And
massive,
as you boys know,
massive loss.
I'm not as big as fan, but you sometimes don't know what you've got till it's gone, do you? And we're just not the same threat, attacking wise or defensive. So for me, you can't really begrudge it because we choose to have a small playing squad. It's just a fact of the matter, isn't it? That's how it is.
Well, this is the issue. This is the issue, isn't it? We knew this going into the transfer window. We knew that there's a lot of games to play. We knew how big it was going to be coming out of that window, knowing that we were still in a position where we could challenge for Europe, and we lose Adama and do absolutely nothing else. And I keep hearing people tell me that we've got a big squad, we've got good players in good areas, but we can't replace quality for quality. Hoover is not in the same class as Semedo.
We can't do that in one position. There is no position that we have.
No.
There's not. If you put your best 11 out there, is there any position that anyone could come in? Maybe if a fully fit Johnny, was fully fit and back to the Johnny of old, Aït-Nouri, you'd be happy with either of them two. Call it different skill sets, but you'd say that. And if Bolly was of 18 months ago, you'd probably say him with Sace. Otherwise, you're looking. There isn't really your best 11 almost picks itself, doesn't it? Now, yes, we've got a squad, but the significance in quality from making 5 changes, I think it was 5, was the difference in quality throughout the team was just. Neves was almost by himself in midfield.
But I suppose it's to be expected to a point, isn't it, Ryan? Apart from maybe the top 3, any team would struggle with that. If you take Declan Rice and Antonio out of West Ham, they're
Yeah,
going to
fair
struggle.
point.
If you take
Fair.
Son and Kate out of Tottenham, they're going to struggle. You know, if you take your best players out of probably any team apart from the top 2 or 3, they're all going to struggle. And you can't expect to have 18, 19, 20 top class footballers at a club like Wolves. You've got to have backups ready to come in.
There's only Man City and Liverpool, really, isn't there, that can do that? Maybe Chelsea.
They can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 11s, where our first 11 on our day will give anybody a game, and I think can beat anybody. But we've got the numbers. But like you boys have said, the quality's not there. The backup just isn't good enough. You know, Hoover, Marcel, Ben Donker, Wang, Trincao. I think I listed those to you after the game. They're good players, but that's all they are. You know, they're good players, but they're never going to be good enough to get you into a top 4, top 6 spot.
Do you know what the thing that frustrated me the most? I mean, Hwang got his goal at Arsenal. It was a great anticipation, a great first touch to go past the keeper, and a great finish. Can't knock that. I think Hwang's assets are his short runs off the ball, and the guy can finish. Gives me nightmare. The further he comes back into the Wolves half, I've been at games with you guys separately, and we're like, we do not want to see Hwang with the ball in his own half. Like he's assist at Villa. He's assist at Villa, and I mean he was giving us nightmares against Arsenal. But
yeah,
I'm not picking on him, but I've lost sort of digressed a bit there. But the most frustrating thing about Sunday for me was the lack of responsibility taken by Trincao or Hwang to try and make something happen. If you're a narrow wide player in a 3-4-3 playing off the striker, it is your job to create. It's your job to bring the wing back into play or to create space for the wing back. That didn't happen. Maybe that's why the wing backs didn't get forward very much. And I want to see you try and take on a man, cut inside and shoot. I mean, Hwang had one chance just before half-time knocker, and I've not watched it back because I couldn't face it, but I was convinced he should have scored that. I mean, he looked like he should have hit the target, but it was, for me, the lack of responsibility to go and win the game or to try and make something happen from those players. I understand that we play a very measured game and we try and recycle it and keep it as opposed to playing a percentage ball, but I felt like there wasn't any leadership between the forward players, particularly the narrow wide forwards, that they wouldn't do anything. Take a man on, make something happen. And as the game went on, they've won by a scrappy goal, and it didn't need to be that way. Yes, the quality in the squad got exposed, but also I've got to point the finger at some of the players for not taking enough responsibility. Go and win the game. Back yourself. If you take on a man and lose it, you've had a go. Run towards the goal. Be direct. Yeah. Didn't see that from Hwang or Trincao at all.
I think you're right. But just going back to Chris's point, the problem with it is, yes, only the top 2 can really replace top class with top class, but none of this should have been a surprise to us because Neto wasn't injured this season. He was injured previous season. Same with Johnny. We knew Bolly's had problems for a while now, so we should have been prepared for that. And the difference is when if a West Ham or if a Liverpool or someone lose a player of quality, they've got someone who's not at the same level, but not too far away from it. The dip we had with replacing our wing backs was phenomenal. I mean, there was a point in the second half when Prudence was coming forward, and you saw him look at Hoover in space, and he didn't want to give him the ball. No. He did not, and you could see he physically didn't want to give him the ball. So he turned back inside. You could see it from where we were sat.
It was disrupting our play. You could see that we'd worked a position from left to right. Prudence would pick it up in the pocket as he does so well, and you could physically see them look up, stop, and turn back in. Now, I thought at the time we might be reading into that, but so many other people have said it. It just didn't look like, and that's a shame on Hoover. You know what? I want the guy to come good, but it's hard comparing him to Semedo. Yeah, he's way off. But that's not his fault. That's not his fault, and he did his best. But I mean,
it's not his fault. But
I really hope Johnny's back. Oh,
it hurts us, doesn't it? That's the problem. It's not his fault, but that's fine. Put me in the team. It won't be my fault, but I'm really either. But I'm not gonna. But that's the point. You've got to be able to put people in the team and make a real impact. If you're going to play a Hoover and you're going to play a Marcel, you've got to play a flat back 4 because those two cannot play as wing backs. Yeah. They cannot get up and affect the game. You look at what Semedo does when he gets the ball. He drives, he gets you into attacking areas. The same with Aït-Nouri, and he's got the delivery.
Forwards, yeah.
Those two, they'll work hard. They'll put a shift in for you. But if we're being completely honest, they're useless. They don't add anything to the team at all. You're not going to win games because of those two, whereas you will win games because of Aït-Nouri, because of Semedo. So we just haven't got that ability to lose 2 or 3 players.
Next time, just say what you think about the 2 reserve fullbacks.
Look, they'll work
The
hard
ten-
for you, and I'm not knocking them in that sense. But let's be completely honest. They're not good enough for where we
They're
need
crap.
to be.
No.
They're just not the level that we want them to be at. And we can beat around the bush as much as you want, or maybe they'll develop, maybe they'll get better. Uber's about the same age as Ain't Nuri, and he's miles behind him, absolutely miles behind. So
Yeah.
you've got to be realistic and say, Liverpool absolutely had our trousers down with 10 million quid for him.
I was going to
Because
say,
it
at least
is.
it didn't cost us 12 million quid, did it? He
That's-
needs to go on loan for me. He needs to. It's similar to like the Gibbs
Yeah.
White, the Giles conversation. He needs a year of consistent.
Yeah, give him a
football
chance, see what he can do when
before
he's playing
ready.
regular championship football. I agree entirely, and maybe he comes back and he's a different player. Maybe he comes back and which I think
Yeah.
Gibbs White could
I
be
think
next
he
year.
might be.
But at this moment in time, for
He's
me,
nowhere
he doesn't. No, he's an under 23 player for me at this moment in time. I just don't think he adds anything to the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly frustrating. And just to finish off on that game, I mean, the only positives we can draw from it is at the end of the game when we were squeezing West Ham, the potential partnership of Neto, Podence, Fabio came alive. I thought when the other players were on around him, and Raul, Wolves looked like the Wolves we'd seen earlier in the season, hadn't it? But I mean, the
It was
positive.
late though, wasn't it? Why did we leave it so late?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could have started like that, couldn't we?
Well, I'm not sure
after
that we
an hour-
could, but
After an hour, why is it not changed? You know, it's hard. It's very hard to criticise the manager, and I'm not criticising. It's just a genuine question. Why did we leave it till 10 minutes from the end to go
Yeah.
to a back four? Just have, like you say, boys, run 40 points for comfortable as anything. Have a go.
Yeah.
You can
That made no
criticise the
sense
manager.
again. Just
You
have
can criticise him without wanting him out, can't you?
Absolutely,
but for me,
yeah.
he
that
completely
doesn't-
got it wrong.
You're not allowed to do that on social media. No,
Well, that's the
it's
issue,
either
isn't
one or the other, isn't it? Yeah, but
Yeah.
you bang on. We, in hindsight now, Wolves probably targeted the wrong game. But if we'd have come out of the Emirates, been slapped 3-0 and made 5 changes, we'd have been pretty mad. But you'd have probably forgiven it with a win at West Ham. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, a wonderful thing in football.
Yeah,
we just don't know, do we? So.
To lose both the games is a bit of a stinker in it. You know that's what hurts, and especially the manner of the Arsenal one. And again, there's you boys would have covered it, but there have been questions about Bruno in that game. So that's 2 games now where tactically for me he hasn't got it right, and he has in other games, and he's outsmarted Man United and Tottenham, etc. But these 2 for me, he did get it wrong.
Let's just drop this comment in. It's a bit of amusement from Hungry Like the Wolf. Time for another episode of Excitable Ryan and his 2 straight men. The sort of entertainment Friday nights are made for. Doing my best, mate. I've just got back from work and I'm drinking tea, so maybe not. But thanks for watching. Just on that comment, your live comments on the show are really helpful. If you agree, disagree, we'll try and get on as many as we can. I'm trying to blend the stuff in from Twitter. So also, as the show goes on, after a couple of weeks, Knocker's going to update the league table when we've had multiple game weekends and update the scores. You can see the stress it's causing him now. The thought of doing that spreadsheet on his day off's killing him, but he is going to do it. At least smile, Knocker. Look at his face. He's blue. You can't believe he started it off. So
you've had a really daft idea, and then it gets a bit of legs behind it.
I tried to warn you.
I've been updating the table now, so I'll get the weekend's fixtures out, and then some point early or midweek, I'll bang the league table out.
Even to Wayne, a regular watcher and commenter on here, thanks for your support. Hungry Like the Wolf. Tyler is up for the manager of the month of February. He is.
Turned it round, lads. Yeah.
Turned it round. We knew he would. That's why he wasn't here last week. He was too busy doing his tactical. He's multitasking on his secondment. So yeah, West Ham frustrating. For me, not just a missed opportunity for a point, a missed opportunity for a win. If that's, I think we kept Antonio quiet. I think we kept Bowen reasonably quiet. And with 5 players out who I would have said started our strongest team, I think Wolves win that game. We don't know. We'll never know. Yeah. But it's frustrating. But you know what, lads? And as Hungry Like the Wolf said, time for Excitable Ryan. The season is not over yet, boys. The season is not over yet. So, well... How can it be? The league table says it's not over. The league table says it's not. So let's try and turn this into a bit of a positive then. After that game, let's have a brief talk about the club accounts. Now, yes, it might not be excitable and sexy stuff for football because the main thing we care about is what happens on the pitch. But they've turned a profit. They suffered a bit of a loss during obviously the pandemic. But they've sort of written off and turned into assets like 126 million. Now, if that doesn't scream to me that Fosu are in it for the long run, then nothing is. Unless they're planning to sell up, which I don't think that's the case. they're not going to just suddenly write off 126 million quid. What they probably get now for Wolves, 350, 400 million now compared to the 50 or something they paid for. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the accounts, boys? I won't bore people because I know everyone's not into that. But what are your thoughts on that? For me, I think that's it's a good look. It's a happy story from a really crap week that Wolves look like they're in good hands, not in trouble. Because look at all the clubs around us. Look at the money's been thrown around. Yes, we could have had a January window that was better, but for me, it gave me a bit of comfort that the club looked like they're going in the right direction still and in safe hands. Anyone got anything nice to say?
No, I think it's positive. I mean, I don't claim to be a financial expert by any stretch of the imagination, but
Crikey, we've seen your spreadsheet on the fixtures, so not alone the
But I just think if you're clearing that kind of money, are you doing it? Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
You know, in terms of are you putting it back into the club? Are you doing that? For me, that makes you a more saleable asset. I'm not saying they are trying to sell us, but that's kind of what it screamed to me when I read it. Hopefully, it just means that they're clearing the decks and then they're ready to put a bit more into it in the summer. But I don't know, just a little sneaky suspicion for me that there could be a few changes at Wolves in the not too distant future.
See, Knocker's made some great calls. I just don't see that. I don't see. I just don't see all this extra effort abroad, signing certain players, commercial deals, making the name big in Mexico, growing the brand in South America, growing the brand in Asia. I just don't see them coming this far for the money they've spent just to go, I've had enough now. I just don't see it. Yes, we're probably not going to see millions and millions pumped in, but look where we're at. We've still got probably one of the best teams we've ever seen in our lives. So as it stands, it's working. You know what? January for me was still a bit frustrating, but I think that writing off the debt for me, I'm an optimistic person. I think that's a massive positive. I think that's a big sign of intent, their commitment for the long haul. And in terms of our progression on the path we've had with Fosun, if this continues, you know what I mean, good times will continue to happen. What are your thoughts on it, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it's hard to predict because I think only time will tell, Ryan. I think it could go one or two ways. I'd like to go with your train of thought, Ryan. You know, it steadied the ship. It's starting again. Will we start to see some investment in the playing squad again? I still agree with Mark. I still think it's going to be a self-sufficient footballing model on the pitch. I think we'll look to buy cheap assets, develop them and sell them on for big profit and then continue to do that. That's just how I see, you know, the model of the football club. And it's not a model I necessarily disagree with, by the way. I think it's quite a sound business model and a sound footballing model. So I'm going to go with you, Ryan. I'm going to be positive and, you know, see it as, you know, as good news, but only time will tell. You know, the summer's going to
absolutely.
There's going to be players leaving, contract expiring. You know, it's a big summer for Wolves, isn't it? So
massive.
We'll only know then, I think.
Yeah, that's. I mean, in terms of the massive, there's some questions here in terms of player contracts I want to talk about as well. But in terms of the accounts for me, just ending on that, I think it's a big good news story. Look at the players who've got to come back in. Neto. I mean, look at some of the footballers that are on show. And I'm not going to be one of these. Oh, we're in League One so and so years ago. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. I'm grateful for where we are, but I'm equally ambitious. But that doesn't mean I can't praise Fosun without wanting more. So yes, I am thoroughly grateful. This is one of the best teams I've ever seen. Some of the best players I've ever seen at Wolves. Neves, Moutinho, Raul at his peak. I mean, we're having some good times, and there's no reason it can't continue. Unfortunately, we've got to the hard bit now because trying to break that top six is ridiculously difficult to do, and it'll be even harder on a self-sufficient model. However, if you just said a few years ago, here comes the happy clapper moment, that, you know what I mean, would be around 8th or 10th consistently in the Premier League, growing and be more established. Oh,
all day.
Absolutely.
The point I was making was not a negative point, because if we do become, you know, stronger under Fosun, then happy days. I'm all for that. I'm very pleased with the job they're doing, but obviously, but if they are going to sell us, we have just become a much more attractive proposition for some big investors now. So either way, it's kind of, we're in a really good place, whichever way it does go from here.
Yeah, that's good.
And I absolutely hope that Fosun stay with us, but if they don't, they've made us pretty attractive, I would say, at this point. Roman Abramovich is looking for a club, isn't he? So.
I'm just going to put this comment up. I don't know how to answer it because it's come on. I've had no chance to do any research, but I'm not going to hide from it. Gareth Wilkinson has said, what are your views on Fosun's connection to Russia and its central banks are therefore directly funding Putin? Now, I'm not going to hide from the question to say it didn't get put up. I don't know. I'm not a financial expert. I don't know the connections, Gareth, but I didn't want to not put the question up and you think I was hiding away from it. So if I had an answer, I'd give you, but I don't know. If I do some research on it, maybe we can answer next week. But like I said, I don't want to hide from any questions at all, but thank you for your contribution.
Frosinone investment company, though, there's a lot of pies that they've got their fingers in, isn't there?
Course,
it's not going to be, they're not just saying here's some money for Vladimir Putin. It's going to be, if you look at all of their figures, they're investing all over the world, aren't they? So
absolutely. Well,
there's nothing wrong with investing in Russia before obviously all this happened. It's lots of people invested in Russia.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm no financial expert. I don't really know in terms of banking, finance, but I appreciate your comments. Just going back to the playing side, and we know we talked about it before, and I really think this deserves some time in terms of Nelson Semedo. I mean, I think Nelson Semedo has been as good a right back this season, wing back, as anyone in the Premier League. He's almost been faultless in games. Defensively, he's looked sound. Going forward, he's been travelling with the ball. And as Tyler mentioned about 10 minutes ago, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. That was, for me, on Sunday, was the biggest gaping hole in the team. The loss of that guy, it was staggering to see. I mean, we were so flat on that side of the pitch. Even when we were pushing late on, nearly everything positive was coming from the left-hand side, which was unusual because Neto was playing on his natural side and not his weak side to cut in. But guys, I mean, Nelson Semedo, we're talking 4 to 6 weeks of a miss. That is enormous.
I don't know if you'll see him again this season. Really, I think.
I'm glad you said this season. I didn't enjoy that, mate.
I thought there ain't a lot of games left, isn't there? Three of them in the next week. Will they rush him back for a pointless end to the season potentially? Depends where we are, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I still think there's more to come from him. As you know, I still probably, critique him a bit too much than I should, babe. I still think there's more end product to come, goals, assists, and then you're looking at then a real top wing back, aren't you? But defensively, he's sound, he's quick, he's strong, he's getting better on the ball, he's clever, he's happy to keep the ball and recycle it, he's happy to.
He's good at this season, Tyler. I think he's good at everything. He's like,
the stats need to improve, right? They have to improve.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
there's no point getting to a byline and then he's finding the ball. He's often average, isn't it? I know we got involved in the goals at Brentford. He was almost a pre-assist, wasn't he, for such a thing? But for me, for himself to go to that next level and look at breaking into those top teams, his stats will have to get, but he'll know that himself. His goals and assists, his output has to improve.
What I would say, I think when he's back, we'll get more from Nelson when he's partnering Neto on that side, because Neto will be on that side playing as an inverted winger. He'll create more space for Nelson while Neto cuts inside. I think we'll see more from him. I think we'll see even more from him. And I mean, how old's Nelson now? 27, 28? I think there's a fantastic footballer there.
Getting to the peak, isn't he?
Yeah, at peak of his career. I mean, he's unfortunate with what happened with his injury, but you're expecting as supporting your team's going to pick up a few hamstring injuries a season. It's just that, unfortunately, high intensity, and he put a massive shift in, as they all did at Arsenal, which obviously ended in heartbreak. But I mean, I just think he deserved a few minutes because I think the guy's been brilliant, and he's a massive miss. I mean, we're all hoping that Johnny comes back. No offence to Hoover. Big game, chance to bounce back against Palace. Some tricky wide players for them as well, particularly Zaha. So whoever's playing, he's going to have to be standing up strong. So any thoughts to add on that to Semedo, Knocker?
Yeah, I think his improvement from last season to this season has been absolutely outstanding. In terms of his final ball, I agree it's not always great, but I think you can look at Adama for the final ball thing and look how many assists he's got at Barcelona. We don't fill the box, do we? We don't commit players.
And that's a good point. That's a great point, yeah.
A lot of the time, you're filling the ball into one player in the area.
We didn't do that. And I know you don't want me to name it, but we didn't do that with Doherty, and he managed to score goals and get assists. So.
No, I wouldn't argue his numbers need to improve, but I don't think it is a full reflection on him as an attacking player, because I do think we don't help ourselves out in those areas a lot. Hopefully, with Neto coming back, that will give us a little bit more bite in those attacking areas. But yeah, I've been really pleased with him. I think he'd be in the running for player of the season for me.
Defensively excellent, like his defensive game.
The improvement there, isn't it?
It's almost faultless. Yeah. When did anyone last get the better of him?
No, and he was suspect last year, wasn't he? I mean, he he got caught out of position so many times last season, and he was really kind of didn't know where he was supposed to be. Positional sense was awful. This season, absolutely no one's got past him. He's fast. He's developed physically as well. I think he's stronger. Reads the game really well, and he's an absolutely top player now for us.
And him and Max on that side.
Works perfect, doesn't it?
No, really.
Yeah, really, really good. Hungry like the wolf. He was just saying he's following up a comment. Ryan Aitnori lives on the edge of the red zone in terms of physical load expanded due to the amount of work he puts in every match. Only 2 days rest between him, and he couldn't have much of recovered safely, and that's fair. And the same for Nelson as well. The wing backs, those two have been a massive part of the success that Wolves have had this season. So yeah, thanks for your comments and keep them coming in, guys. If there's questions you want answering, if you've got a comment, you want to congratulate Eddie on being manager of the month for Newcastle. If you want to moan about Knockers England top, get them on. We'll get on as many. What's
wrong with me England top?
It's a belter, son. I thought it was the Albanian shirt at the start when I've got to be honest with you. But let's take a couple of questions.
I haven't got one there.
Question from Big Daddy Dave Leicester. If we fail to make Europe, could Neves be the next high-profile player to exit Wolves with only 2 years left on his contract? Now, in the week, I saw an article linking him to Barcelona in the summer. And I've said all along, I don't see Neves going to the Premier League team. I think he goes to one of the monsters in Europe. So that wouldn't surprise me. The thought of Ruben Neves leaving and João Moutinho leaving in the same summer.
It's on the cards.
You said that about Adama, Ryan. You said you wouldn't get over Adama, and you look okay, mate. So come on, it's not all bad.
If we're being realistic, the only way we keep Neves is if we finish in the Champions League, isn't it? Let's be completely realistic about it. And that's not going to happen. So I think you've got a few. Yeah, it's beneath him now. He's better than that, and he doesn't owe us anything. He's been phenomenal since he's been here. So for me, I don't see any way he's still a Wolves player next season. I've got to be honest. I think unless a minor miracle happens and we end up fourth, which, if we're being honest with ourselves, is never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
So for me, I think you just enjoy him for these last few games because I think he's got bigger fish to fry going forward now.
Yeah, it says a lot about Ruben because there aren't many players you honestly say I'm not a player that's that good saying. Because I don't think any Wolves fan will begrudge him. Drop into a league he didn't know a lot about, or we may have done, but in terms of experience-wise, coming to the Championship to help Wolves get promoted, become an established team, FA Cup semi-final, Europa League quarter-final, 2 7th finishes, some tremendous wins at Man City, wins at Man United, win at Spurs. There's been some fantastic performances. And he's been a part of all those days out. So I'd be gutted if he went. But if he went, he'd be one of those players who go, you know what? Good luck to you, mate, because you deserve to win silverware.
Yeah, he has to go. Like he has to go.
Whoa, that's a bit strong.
He has to go.
You've just talked about Nelson at his peak. Ruben Neves at his peak shouldn't be playing for Wolverhampton Wanderers. He just shouldn't be.
This Wolverhampton Wanderers.
We know he's happy. We know he loves the club, the area, etc., and that's great. And if he stays, we're all going to be absolutely over the moon, aren't we? But like you say, 2 years left. If that comes like the Adama situation, 12 months, 18 months, he's a sailor blessed at the moment. He's on fire, isn't he? So
I don't think
for his own career.
I don't think we'd get an Adama situation. Not that it was that bad with Ruben. I think Ruben would be really respectful to Wolves. I don't see Ruben throwing his toys out.
I agree. I mean, from getting more money, you're going to get more money now than you are 12 months down the line.
I think so. And wait until they announce a new 5-year deal tomorrow or something. They're not really, I don't know.
That's the thing, isn't it? If we've let it get down to 2 years, you would assume those conversations have already taken place. So if we got ourselves into a position now where there's only 2 years left, for me, that's kind of a big indicator that that's probably it for him now. There's probably an agreement in place that will let him go the end of this season. I
was hoping we could get some positives, boys. Crikey. Let's go through a few more conversations. And this isn't disrespectful to Hoover. Didn't Hoover cost 9 to 10 million? Yeah, I think he did.
That was 10 million too much.
I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to the lad, but I think he's a Championship loan away from coming back. And I mean, it's not done Gibbs White any harm, and he may come back better, he may not. But I think Hoover certainly needs a loan away, maybe next season. Thanks still with your comment. Hungry the says feels like Hwang could be better in a 3-5-2 along Jimenez. Now,
didn't work at Villa, did it?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't
on the bench. 3-5-2 on the bench would be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pedence's clearly having his best season for Wolves. Now he's fit, he looks strong, he looks mobile. Pedence's starting to look like the player that we thought he could be. And with Neto coming back, who looks way ahead of where he thought at this stage, that front three, yeah, it has to be a front three for me. Hungry like the Wolf, we might be wrong. If it was 3-5-2, it couldn't be with those two up front. There's a lack of real pace. I think we need a 10 in there. I could probably, if you were going to put Pedence in the 10 in between those two, in a sort of 3-5-2 with a 10, yeah, but I wouldn't want as a flat three with Dendoncker, Neves, and Martinho. I don't think there's too much of a gap then between the forwards. But thanks for your comment.
Us three be as quick as that midfield three with them sort of. You know,
you're quicker than you to the bar, son.
You have to have a bit of guile, don't you? A bit of craft, and whether that's a Podence or a Neto, ideally both of them for me. But you've got to have at least one of them in the side.
If everyone's fit, Hwang's a squad player, isn't he? He's not a starter for me.
I mean, this is a comment I wasn't expecting, and I'm pretty sure he's taking the mickey out of us. But if he's not, we'll take it. And this is a better podcast than the Joe Rogan Experience. Thank you very much. I'm sure
less racism in ours, isn't there?
Oh my God! If you're making fun or not, we'll still take that all day long. Absolutely. Let's have a look. Going down. What's this saying here? Comments going on. I'm trying to read through. Let's take some questions off Twitter. I'm trying to multitask here, and you can tell how good I am at it. So
you're a Madison, it's fine.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Hayden O'Connor, thanks, Hayden. Asked, out of the biggest saleable assets we've got, who would you cash in to improve the squad overall in the summer? Now, we might have sort of partially answered that with Neves. I think that's a good question to bring in. So, okay then, guys, you've got to sell one person this summer, one sizable asset this summer. You've got to sell one of them. Who is it? I'm going to do the cop out. I'm selling Adama. So it's over to you two.
I think we've only got 2 or 3 in the squad.
Who are they?
Neves and Neto for me are the only ones that would probably get you big money.
I don't think anyone will pay Neto money until he's come back and improved himself for 6 months.
So Neves and Kilman, and for me, I'd probably sell Kilman if Neves was guaranteed to stay all day long. You can replace a centre back for me. I know he's a top prospect, but if that's the question and they're the 2 options, I'm selling Kilman and buying another centre back. To be honest, I think Neves is borderline irreplaceable.
Big knocker.
I'm with him on that. If I'm being honest with you, I think if you get a guarantee that Neves will stay and sign a new 5-year deal and see that 5-year deal out, you can't.
You build a team around him, don't you?
You build a team around him.
You do build the team around him. But what I would say, and it's my job to play devil's advocate, what I would say is Max Kilman's coming to the side, and we've got the best defence we've ever had in our lifetimes at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
But a defender's
in that back three, a centre back for me.
Up until the AFCON, Saïss was brilliant. He's not come back quite the same level, but Saïss was having his best season as well, lads. Don't tell me he wasn't, because he was.
A defender's never going to be as attractive as a midfielder, though, are they? If you're being totally honest, in terms of player sales, you're always going to go for a midfielder. Right? I mean, Max Kilman with the best will in the world ain't going to chip one up and volley it into the top corner against Derby, is he? So he gives you that level of excitement. And he's a different class to anything I've seen, other than Martinho, who's on a par with him. But as good as Kilman is, if it's a choice between the two and you've got a guaranteed 5-year deal, it's a no-brainer.
Exactly. And we love Kilman. You know how much we love Kilman.
Absolutely.
The
thing is though, all right, here you go then, just to twist it around the other way. How do you replace Max Kilman and what he does? He's bringing the best out of Nelson. He's improved Connor Cody. He's improved the Wolves' defence.
All right, I'll ask you.
We had Ryan Bennett in the role 2 years ago, and we were doing absolutely fine. Sometimes formations, systems, people, they just work, don't they? We had.
I'm not going to like your question, Knocker. I can feel it coming. I'm not going to like it. You're going to stitch me up here.
I'm trying to stall it. The best Wolves team we had.
I'm trying to stall him.
Had Matt Doherty and Ryan Bennett in it. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is
horses for courses.
It clicks and it works, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
So if at this moment in time, if Kilman comes out of the team, who'd you put in?
Willy Boly all day, and I think I'd probably play him now anyway.
Okay,
I want to see what he's got between now and the end of the season, if he's got anything in the tank.
So for you then, Ryan, if Neves comes out, who'd you put in?
Me now, I'm putting Kundal in.
There you go. That's where we are. And it's
there's your answer.
See you, Max.
Absolutely stitch me, you pair of there, like no one's business. Ruining me on my own podcast.
It's almost like we've planned that, Knocker, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a board meeting after this. We'll move on to another question to save further embarrassment for myself. Mark Poulton asks, what's our situation with financial fair play? Here's stuff that restrictions ease this summer as we adhere to the UEFA rules because of the running Europa League. However, never explaining a way I fully understand. For example, I heard before January window, Newcastle could spend 190 million and still comply. Now, my understanding of this is because Wolves, I know this sounds a ridiculous thing to say, they were almost too successful too soon. And because Wolves had spent a lot of money to get out of the Championship, on the spreadsheet, it had shown an enormous loss. And I think it was breaking the rules in terms of what you can spare in comparison, your income to your outgoings. I mean, I don't have a full understanding, but that's my understanding. And I believe that, yes, I believe we come to an agreement with UEFA in terms of our spending, in case we went in there again. We've adhered to those, and I believe the handcuffs are off again in the summer. Whether we'll see a war chest, as like the Expression Star or any of the papers used to love to say, Mark McGee's war chest, as it was back in the 90s, I don't know. But it's an interesting point regarding their January. Newcastle could spend 190 million and still comply. That I don't understand. I would say, what I'd suggested earlier on is because they have been getting Premier League money for more than the 3-year threshold either side. Sorry, within the 3 years, and Wolves weren't because they were in the Championship. They paid the price then because they didn't meet the criteria. I think that's my understanding of it. Do you have anything to add, Knocker, Tyler, on that?
No.
Oh, thanks for your input, guys. You've been really helpful these last few questions, guys.
Mate, you told me to come in and talk about football. You hitting me with bloody spreadsheets, P&Ls, finances. Come on.
That's what I'm here for. Well, you know what? I just thought I'd get you that one. He wasn't going to answer that. Okay.
I think what that will do, in terms of going into the summer transfer window, we'll see where Fosun's ambitions really lie in terms of what they're going to put into it. Because if this financial fair play is behind us and we still follow the self-sufficient model, then we'll know we'll know where we are going forward, don't we? But if it does change and we go and spend sort of 40, 50 million above what we bring into the club, then yeah, maybe it's happy days and it's back on track. But my suspicion is we'll stick with this self-sufficient model.
Just bringing in a comment, not a question, from Hungry Like the Wolf. Writing the loan off into equity is just an accounting treatment. If they ever sold the club, they'll get it back at that point. The positive result is better for financial fair play, especially UEFA, so that ties in nicely to what we talked about then. Let's go to another question.
You should have just asked him, shouldn't you? He knows what he's talking about.
He clearly does.
Get him on next week.
We need to get Hungry Like the Wolf on for financial report, yeah.
We're knocking her out of our depth here.
You shouldn't
talk about pies again.
You shouldn't have stitched me up. When do we tell the story about that pie at Spurs hitting me in the face? Anyway, what's probably for...
that's standard.
A question from Matt Witten again. Apart from Matinho, let the other players out of contract move on to free up the squad spaces and wages. It's apparent we need to freshen up the squad. So yeah, we have some players coming out of contract. Sace, Matinho, and Ruddy. I think Ruddy is at the stage now where he'll want to go and play football at the end of his career and not be a sub and play 5 games a season. I think Matinho, I really like him to stay, but I think 100 grand a week plus is big money, and I think he'll want to see his days out probably back in the Portuguese league. I wouldn't begrudge him that. And Sace, I think Sace had a brilliant season up until he went away for the AFCON. He come back and he's been okay, but in terms of his season so far, I think Sace deserves a new contract. I wouldn't begrudge him that, because if not, what's it going to cost to bring in a new centre back? The floor is yours, guys.
Do you think they're going to give Sace a new contract with the emergence of Gomez? Mosquera has been signed.
No.
I don't know. I think his days might be numbered. I think Marcel's days are numbered. I agree with you on John Ruddy. And Matinho the same. I'd always give him another year, but whether or not that happens, I don't know. But I don't know with Sace. Yeah, 3 months ago I would have said, yeah, get him signed up. But with Totti, with Sanderson on the, periphery of the squad maybe next season, and Mosquera, they've obviously signed for the future. I don't know. I just don't see it really. I think he might be on his way.
Yeah, Knocker.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, I'd give Sace a new deal. I think he's earned it. and I think he's a good experienced player, and I think he brings a lot to the changing room as well. He seems like a real big personality. So I'll be more than happy if he signed a new deal. But yeah, I kind of think he may be the one to make way going forward. Martinho, yeah, I'll give him a new deal, whether it's $100,000 a week or not, I don't care. I'll keep him at the club as long as we could. Marcel's got to go because he's made a Weetabix, and I think we can. I think other than that, it's where we are, isn't it? Really?
Let's be honest, lads. They're not good enough, are they? Be brutally honest.
It depends. If you want to achieve, doesn't it? Really? What we're looking to do.
Flirting around the middle of the Premier League, which, by the way, isn't a complete disaster. But if Wolves want to continue to be ambitious, you saw the changes that happened on Sunday, and we tried to flex our muscles with a squad, and they wasn't good enough. Marcel's not going to get any better, so I don't see him staying. He had a terrible injury record, but Marcel started the season great and then faded. So are those players good enough to take Wolves to the next level where they want to get to? I don't think so. So would I keep Sace? I think Wolves have got a year in their hand, and I think they can activate that up until the last minute. I think they've got a year in their favour. So would I keep Sace a year? I think he would. I think I would, because he's reliable.
Old is he now, though?
He's 31. He's reliable. He's established. But what have we got to lose? He's not cost anything. He's reliable. He's had a good season. He's had a great relationship with Cody and Ain't Nori on that side. I'm not going to be quick to bin it a player that's been very good this season, and I think he has.
I love the guy, Ryan. I really do. But then, like we talked about a million times before, they're a business, aren't they? And he's another year older. He's a bit of a utility man. If that frees up another squad for a potential younger version or an improvement, then that's the way they're going to look at it, isn't it? They don't tend to offer bigger contracts for the older players, do they? So
I think the only reason we might keep him for that extra year is purely because we haven't been able to give Mosquera any football this season. So
he's looked good, by the way, in those last few games.
Yeah, but you're going to have to bring, either rely on him straight from the off next season, hope it works, or try and bleed him in next season the way you wanted to do it this season, which is why they may go for the extra year on him.
I'm still in the blind hope, Knocker, that Willy Boly is going to come back, prime Willy Boly. And I know I'm probably wrong, but I've still got 5% of me.
If he does, happy days. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
Is that another reason?
I think he's finished.
Well,
there you go. I think they're roughly the same age, and I think Boly's got a year extra on his contract than Sace has. So fit Willy Boly, peak Willy Boly of 18 months ago, if he comes back in and you've got Boly, Kilman and Cody, there's no one breaking into that team.
With Gomez and Mosquera as your backup, Sace, where does he fit in?
If you get into that situation, then absolutely you go.
But we're talking about Boly's not. But you know what though, if he did become fit and he was pushing again, it would be a nice problem to have anyway. So just want to go on a few more comments, dropping them in. Gareth Wilkinson, I agree with Knocker that we are close to being sold. The debt has only been written off to help facilitate a sale. Any debt would hinder the sale, so right enough. So yeah, you've got someone else in agreement with you, Knocker. You've made some great calls this season. Also, Wayne, can we have some positive, lads? It's quite depressing. No. Well,
my hair looks sensational. That's all I can give you.
I went to Arsenal last week with Tyler, and I went to West Ham with Knocker on Sunday. The group chat's been quite quiet. It's been. I mean, I'll go to pretty much every game, and it's been a tough week. So we're trying to be positive. Hopefully, the predictions at the end will bring some positivity. So we've got 10 minutes left of the show. So we've got some. Well, not from you two anyway. 10 minutes left of the show. What I'd like to do, if you would like to take part in the league, tweet on the Wolves page. I'll drop out a tweet. Head over to tomorrow's game with a relevant hashtag. But if you keep an eye on the Twitter page, Knocker will eventually update his spreadsheet. Who knows?
It's on my list, son.
Who knows?
I'm not doing it till I get a point, so it could be a while.
You still not got a point?
Nah, I ain't got nothing. I've been far too optimistic for far too long.
Use potential 10 points a game when you've got none.
Yeah.
There you go, Wayne.
I don't know what I'm doing on this podcast, if I'm being honest. I know absolutely nothing. I'm just bringing it.
I've got from a mate of mine, Pat, and a big Wolves head, a swipe at social media. Why aren't a delegation from the Wolves Twitter out in Belarus and the ongoing peace talks between Russia and Ukraine? They usually got an answer for absolutely everything. Pat, you naughty boy. Having a swipe there, but hey, it's all is welcome on here. Okay, then. Any more comments on here, guys? Let's have a look. Neves loves the club. Hungry like the wolf again says Neves loves the club. He will do a Jack Grealish sign a big contract and a massive release clause so Wolves get played properly. I would love that to happen. I mean, I wouldn't love him to leave, but if he did sign a new deal and went to an absolute monster, I wouldn't begrudge that. So I think he does love Wolves, and I love the fact that he speaks with a bit of a Black Country accent as well when he speaks English. It's tremendous to see. Let's have a look. Right, boys, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I want to give this a bit of time now. Off air, we talked about the lineup for Saturday a little bit, and I was really interested to get your take on this first, Tyler, because it opened my eyes. I wouldn't be against it. It's what my dad said as well. Tyler, tell me what you talked about before the game, not that bit about the team, and before the podcast, and tell me your reasoning why. Go.
I sort of sound like broken records with this back four, don't we? And it's not necessarily because I'm, desperate to see a back four, but I just think, we've got, 10, 12 games left. We're comfortable. We're missing Nelson. It just makes sense for me to go to a back four. Sace has, like you said, been a little bit off it, only, 5-10% off it. So for me, it's a perfect time to go to a back four and also, try and see what some of the fringe players have got. But when I say fringe players, I mean Bolly. I'd like to see Bolly in the team. If he's fit in training, he looks lean, he looks, good in all the videos. And
where does he play in the four, though? Has to be a 5 with Bolly, surely. You can't put him straight into a 2.
It doesn't really matter because I know this might sound a bit stupid, but for me now, we've got to start thinking about, next season. And yeah, I'm not saying we throw away where we are in the league. I personally don't think we're going to finish any higher than where we are now. That's my personal opinion. So let's see what Bolly's got in the tank. Let's see what Luke Kundle's got about him for a run of games. I'd just like to see a 4-2-3-1. It integrates Neto, Podence, Jimenez. And that's
so
naughty, isn't it? That's naughty.
Are you dropping Cody or are you dropping Kilman?
I'm not dropping them because they're out of form. I'm just potentially seeing what we've got. We know what we know what that back three's done all season. So yeah, great. We know what it's capable of. Yeah, you could bring Bolly in for Sace. That's fine. I'd probably, if I were going to back four, I'd probably play Max and Cody. You're right. They deserve to be the 2 starting centre backs. But we haven't seen Willy Bolly all season. So if he's training and he's fit, let's see him. Give him a run of games. So I'd go 4-2-3-1 myself.
You make a good point, but just playing devil's advocate on that, we've got a run of 4 games now that potentially is 12 points. Well, if you win that, we're back in the mix, aren't we?
With Neto, Podence. My concern is that we're not keeping those clean sheets now, are we? We're letting goals in now. And we don't score 2 goals a game. So if we're letting goals in with the back 3 / back 5, we then need to score 2. And we've shown we're not very capable of scoring 2 goals a game. So if the clean sheets come back and we keep nicking games 1-0, then yeah, happy days. But we're leaking goals now, aren't we? It's becoming a bit of a trend again. So, and we lack firepower. We still don't score anywhere near enough goals. So
I think that'll change.
What you said at the start, what have we got to lose? By playing Podence, Hwang, and Neto behind Jimenez, you're telling me that weakens us?
No, I'm absolutely with you. I would, in a heartbeat, play 4-2-3-1. That's been my ideal formation all season.
Johnny at right back, solid as a rock. Ait-Nouri at left back. I'd even happily have Marcel at left back in a 4. I don't really mind.
I'm not dropping Ait-Nouri, mate, at all.
You're getting those 4 there. But what you've got higher up the pitch for me, I'd rather die trying than keep, trying to nick 1-0s.
Okay, just one thing I'd add into that, Tyler, and I have bored people to anyone that would read my tweets or listen to the podcast about 4 at the back, because I think it's the way forward. I think it's the next step for Wolves. But we always seem to say that after a couple of losses and then we're happy again. We don't say anything then, don't we? So yeah, I've got to hold our hands up for that. The problem I've got, and I mean, this goes on to a tweet here from a message from Paul 2021. 2011. He says, in terms of Hwang, does that 4-2-3-1 then include Hwang in that team, Tyler?
Only because there's nobody else at the moment. Yeah.
So, I mean,
it'd be a toss of a coin between Trincao and Hwang, and neither of them really excite me.
I know I'm just going a bit out of curve here, but this is. I know some of us have talked about this. Paul 2011. Am I the only one that doesn't rate Hwang at all? He doesn't travel forward with the ball and he always plays safe backwards a pass. He scores the odd goal, but has other impact on the team.
I fully agree with that comment.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't convinced, and you both said during the transfer window, it felt like Hwang was signed to appease us getting rid of Adama. Now, Hwang's a great professional, tries hard, got a good pace. He scored a couple of goals. But for me, in terms of playing football and attacking, and I mentioned it at the start of the show, I need to see more responsibility from him in wide areas. When he gets the ball, I want him to drive at the defenders. I want him to create for others and create for himself. And I've not seen that so far. So thanks for the comment. I think you two both in agreement with that about Hwang. But
yeah. He linked up nicely with Raul, didn't he? So if there was the 4-2-3 on, could you get him closer to Raul? You know, there was a couple of the Leeds game, the Newcastle game, you know, where they looked quite good together, didn't they? So there might be something there, but
I'm not his biggest fan, but I think he's top scorer, isn't he? So if you go to a 4-2-3-1, he's got to play, isn't he? Because Trincão's got no goals, no assists. So if it's a toss of the coin between the two of them, you're going to put the guy in as your top scorer, isn't he, every time?
Okay, well, I'm going to throw it out there, and you can slate me if you want. I would rather play Fabio in the 10 than have Hwang in the team.
For me, I'm not going to change my opinion. He's still well off. And I think he's similar to the Hoover one. I think he just needs to go and play football for a year.
I think Fabio is one of those footballers. I mean, bearing in mind that Hwang and Trincão and neither wing-backs gave him anything in that first half, and he was by himself. The more better players that came on the pitch, Raul, Neto and Podence, he was involved then. He was involved. There was nice touches and his interplay was good. For me, there's still a footballer in there. He looks like a player that will improve with better players around him. Now, he only ever gets a chance in cup games with the lesser players in the squad. So how is he supposed to evolve? I still think there's a player there anyway, guys. So
it's a fair point, right? It's a similar argument to what I said from Bolly. Give him the 12 games now to the end of the season. What have you got to lose? We know what Jimenez is capable of. We know what he can do. We need to see what Fabio's got. Give him to the rest of the season. See what he's got.
I like Fabio, but I think if we get the opportunity to play with the number 10, I'm putting Podence in there every time because I think that's the best position he can play for Wolves. And I still think you need to rotate Raul and Silva. So for me, Raul would start and then Silva comes on and gets 20, 30 minutes
here
and there.
He needs to come on a bit early, doesn't he?
He's not
10 minutes.
He's not doing him any good, is
he?
Good
to him. No.
But like I say, I thought he played well against West Ham. I thought he had a decent game. I know a lot of other people don't, but I thought he was pretty good in that. So
there was plenty of worse players out there than
100%.
Fabio Silva. Absolutely plenty of worse. Just a quick one from Big Daddy Leicester again. Sorry, boys, Kilman, the best centre half in the Premier League. Might get 40 million now, but 100 million in 12 months. I dropped out a tweet, tongue in cheek, a couple of months ago back and said, and it was in November, I said, this time next year, Max Kilman and Conor Cody will be World Cup winners. Could you imagine how much Max Kilman's worth if he goes to the World Cup? Not England winning it. If Max Kilman goes to the World Cup and plays well, 30, 40 million, Dad's right. It's an absolute monster feat. Left-footed English centre-back. Guys, don't you two wanted to sell him?
Yeah, he's right. You get 40 now, but I think he's worth potentially double that.
40 is nothing. 40 is irrelevant to us now because what you know. I mean,
Yeah, but we sell at that price, Ryan. We sell at that price.
That's fair, guys.
Just for clarity,
we've got a minute and a half left. Yeah, Knocker. I want your. We've barely gone through the teams. I want your first scorer, and your predictions for the weekend.
Write it down somewhere, sir.
I'm gonna go 1-1. Zaha with the goal.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, boys. Tyler?
I also think we'll only get a draw. I think 1-1. Milivojevic, just because I like his name.
Crikey. Okay, I'm going to go with a Wolves 2-0 win. I'm going to go with a 3-4-3 formation. Ain't Nori back in the side. Johnny at right wing back. Neto making his first start of the season. Podence in. Raul up front. Wolves 2-0. Raul Jimenez. This has been episode 23 of the Wolves Report. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. Thanks to Nocky. Thanks to Tyler. Have a great weekend. Up the Wolves.